I mean, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick said it correctly. I don't think that the league has figured out Lamar Jackson, but I think the key is to figure out the Baltimore Ravens offense. They've got 4 losses. You just saw the stat line that Lamar Jackson is putting up. By no means does that stat line say that Lamar Jackson isn't the same player that he's been in years past. All it's saying is that this offense is performing poor than it was in his first couple seasons as the starting quarterback. So I think there's accuracy to what Minkah is saying. Like, do you have to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket? Yes, we saw that take place with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's having a difficult year this year as well. So when you're talking about quarterbacks that have that type of athleticism, the ability to run and escape outside of broken down pockets, broken down plays, defenses are catching up to how to play against those types of quarterbacks. And I think that's the key, is that you got to cover longer. You got to find ways to have guys in the right positions in those windows that may exist when the quarterbacks move around. You almost have to play quarterbacks like you're punting the ball anymore with your defensive fronts. You got to have faster linebackers, not linebackers that can thump and take on tight ends, but linebackers that are small enough to run and catch a Lamar Jackson or covering the pass plays. So to me, I don't think that the defenses have caught up to Lamar Jackson. I think that they're doing a much better job of policing the Baltimore Ravens offense.
And Lamar, I believe, is clearly having the worst year of his career. And it's not a great trajectory. Unanimous MVP, to the next year, very good quarterback, to this year, by any metric, below average. And I understand some of the audience might say, well, those passing stats don't incorporate what he does with his legs. That's true, but it's also true he doesn't do as much with his legs anymore. He has 2 rushing touchdowns this year. He has 2 runs of greater than 25 yards. By the way, all of that came in weeks 1, 2, or 3. Since then, 0 rushing touchdowns, 0 explosive runs. That's a problem. And I don't think the league has figured him out, Broussard, but I know the media has not figured out how to talk about it. Because I am at this point almost as irritated with the folks who will refuse, and I'm not talking about LaVar here because I think LaVar's commentary was very fair, but it's especially popular in the NFL media podcasting area that refuse to ever criticize Lamar. It's patronizing. I'm almost as irritated with those folks as the folks who, before he came out of Louisville, was like, he's a wide receiver. He can't play quarterback. People are still, I think, scarred by how Lamar was talked about as he was coming into the league, to where otherwise smart people act like he's the one quarterback that is above criticism. Listen, 8 times this year he's had a passer rating below 90. The only quarterback in the league with more is Trevor Lawrence, who's a rookie on a terrible team. Lamar has been bad this year. The Ravens have been lucky to get to 8-4. That doesn't mean you don't give him a second contract. It doesn't mean he's a bum. But I am shocked at the kid glove treatment he gets in some corners of the commentary world, as if he's not a guy who's won a league MVP and is staring at $40 million a year. He should be judged the way we judge Allen, the way we judge Mahomes, the way we judge Rodgers, which is harshly when they play poorly, and he's played poorly this year.
Yeah, it's almost like it's politically incorrect to criticize Lamar, Nick, and so that's a good point.
It's weird.
Another good point you made is that, and I was saying it in the offseason, but I especially was saying it early in the season, sign the contract. And Lamar came out early and said, look, once the game starts, I don't even want to think about the contract. I'm focused on every week's game. And I get that, but that's why you have representatives, and I know his is his mom, but they got to get that contract signed, because this isn't the greatest year to have when you don't have your long-term contract signed. But LaVar, I agree with you in that I thought Minkah Fitzpatrick said some smart stuff. And I understand Minkah not wanting to come out and be like, yeah, we figured Lamar out. But I think that's kind of what he said. He said he's always going to be dangerous. And we know that. Whether you figured him out or not, he always can break a big one on you. He can throw the football. We've learned that. So he's always going to be dangerous. But let's face it, they have figured him out to a large degree. Doesn't mean he can't ever become what he was. Because one thing he has done is he's always answered his critics. First, can he throw the football? He shows us he can. Can he be accurate? He shows us he can. Can he throw outside of the numbers to his receivers? He shows us he can. How many fourth quarter comebacks did he have with his arm earlier in the season, right? And now what defenses are saying is, we're no longer going to make you beat us with your arm. We're going to blitz you, make you uncomfortable in the pocket, and then see what you can do. And that's where he struggled. It started against Cincinnati. They didn't do it all game, but when they blitzed him, he struggled with the cover zero. Miami did it practically the whole game, and now he's seeing a steady diet of that almost every week. Pittsburgh, blitz heavy, got pressure on him. He sacked 7 times. So he can't hold the ball as long. You saw in the Pittsburgh game, he had some receivers open at times, Wilds, and he just held on to the ball and didn't throw it quick enough. So Lamar is now being called on to make another adjustment to where he can play well against the blitz, which is what he doesn't do right now.
So LaVar, I want to show you an interception and get your take on it, because I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around have defenses figured Lamar out versus he's just making poor decisions when he's pressured. He's got 5 interceptions in the last 2 games. This one, he's just faded back here, and he's trying to make something happen. It's a let me make something happen interception. Does that mean that the Steelers figured him out? To me, that just looks like a little bit of pressure, and rather than taking the sack or throwing it out, he's still in the pocket. He tries to make something happen, because occasionally that works out. It's a little Mahomesian. You know what? Every once in a while, I can pull something amazing out when I'm under pressure, when I'm going back off my back foot. So what is the balance between, no, there's a whole schematic thing happening with Lamar Jackson versus, he's just making bad calls?
Yeah, I mean, that was a poor decision, and I don't think anyone would dispute that was a poor decision by Lamar Jackson on that play, starting with Lamar Jackson. I think the one thing that we have to be careful about in speaking on Lamar Jackson is getting off into the idea of thinking that he's untouchable or handling him with kid gloves versus looking at it from a more football critical perspective. Lamar Jackson, we all know what he can do in terms of being able to run the ball, scramble, be elusive in that circumstance. But what we're looking at right now is a team that has to evolve as an entire group, right, on the offensive side of the ball. So when you see Lamar Jackson, it's not that Lamar Jackson can't take off every single play. And I think that that's what Minkah is saying. You got to be careful in saying that, oh, well, Lamar can't run away from defenders anymore. He can't figure out the blitz anymore. Yes, he can. And he can when he wants to. But when you look at the things that we're criticizing, you should actually be praising him for it, because the reality of it is that Lamar Jackson is trying to evolve his game. He's trying to grow his game at this point. It's not about just going after the contract. It's about what his legacy is going to be. Will his legacy be that he was only good enough to run for victories? Will his legacy be he couldn't get past a certain round in the playoffs because he wasn't able to be a pocket passing quarterback? You brought up quarterbacks that are able to throw the ball in the pockets, and they're not run first guys. This guy is working on his game. So while we're sitting here saying, oh, this is his worst season, this is by far a situation where Lamar Jackson could be in some serious trouble. No, he's not. Relax. pump the brakes, Nick. Everybody pump your brakes on saying that the dude can't do what he has done historically. He can still run away from every single person in the National Football League. He could run away from all of us on this panel backwards. The bottom line is he's trying to figure out how to be more of a quarterback and evolve his game. We should be praising that, not criticizing him for that.
Oh, okay, but hold on, just real quick. I'm not saying he can't still run away from guys. I'm not saying he can't still be great. What I am saying is he hasn't been this year. And I think ideally you'll work through stuff in practice, and in the games you play well. And this year
not
hasn't played well in the
necessarily true. You cannot do game reps in practice. For his game and the things that he's trying to work on and develop, you cannot simulate what he's going to. You cannot simulate TJ Watt coming off of the edge in practice. It's not going to happen because you're not allowed to hit in practice. It's just very different. So his evolution is going to have to come through the scrutiny and the criticisms of evolving during real live games.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.